think it's funny when you add a little bit of money to a sport and you give some girls attention, what they can do with it. I think everyone should take a page out of our book and really put some more time and effort into women's everything.
Welcome to Breaking the Glass Hockey Podcast. We're talking women's hockey from the PWHL to the NCAA. We will be talking with players, builders, coaches, and fans who have made this great game what it is today. Educate, empower, elevate. Let's go!
Welcome back to Breaking the Glass Hockey Podcast, special Saturday morning edition. We are pleased to introduce our very first interview, the national champion assistant coach of the Wisconsin Badgers, Jackie Crum. Coach, thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, for sure, man. And also Kelly could not be with us. She's in the middle of being a mom chauffeur, but myself and Linda are here. So at least we're representing. This is huge for us. I mean, you're what, 6 days off the game, right? As we're recording, right? It was Sunday.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah.
Less than a week
tomorrow.
Yeah. Crazy. I don't see the ring yet, but that's fine. So now you and Linda, if you want to talk about your history that you guys have.
Well, we're coffee friends, coffee buddies. I got Tim Hortons today in honor of talking to Jackie because we spent a lot of time together on the recruiting trail back in the day and drank a lot of Tim Hortons. So I was like, I'm going to be talking to Jackie today. I feel like I should just nostalgically go get a Tim Hortons just so I can feel like it's like old times. It's crazy though, because you just said that the game was like a week ago. It feels like it was further away. Mm-hmm. But on the flip side, like Jackie and I spoke before we got on today for this, just to catch up. And it was like, wow, good to hear your voice. I mean, when did I talk to you last? When you played Clarkson at at Northeastern? Remember you played Clarkson at Northeastern, and then I came out with you guys, your staff. Yeah. We went out for beer and wings and stuff.
Yeah. 2 years ago.
Yeah, was that 2 years ago?
Yeah, 2-3 years ago.
It doesn't feel like it's that long.
Yeah.
So that's the great part about old friends.
Yeah.
So this was your your personal sixth, right, at Wisconsin?
Correct.
And the program has 8 total, and that was your 16th season. How fast did that feel?
Like that. It's crazy. It is. Yeah, it goes fast. Like everyone says, your kids grow up so fast, and when you're in the thick of it, that's the last thing you want to hear. But then, now my kids are 6 and 4, and you're like, it does go so fast. And that's the same as the hockey season. Like when you're in it, you're hyper focused, and then it's over. It's over 6 days ago, and you're like, what just happened? So that's life, I guess.
Yeah.
Well, and I guess when it happens like that, you're thinking, man, I want to be back in that moment, right? Feels so good and so rewarding. But I want to point out something, and I actually read your text after I texted you after the game and said congratulations and everything. And always so impressed because you got back to me like the very next morning, and I was like, I don't know how many texts you probably have, but thank you. But he sent me a picture of herself with her husband and her 2 kids on the ice, and said, and I said this on our episode last week or earlier in the week about how cool it is and how normal your daughters, 4 and 6, think it is for there to be women's hockey on TV and big crowds, and that the as much fanfare and attention, hoopla. They're pretty privileged. They're winning national championships. Let's be honest. But just how normal they think it is, and what a statement that is. And what are your girls like about all this?
Yeah, I think they have a distorted sense of reality, if I'm being honest, of just winning championships. And we've been so obviously fortunate the last couple of years. And my daughter Riley, who's 6, has like, the first one we won, she was like 9 months old. So, in the last couple of years, 6-7 years. So it just seems like it's the norm, which is like really not the norm. But Yeah, it's they think it's great, obviously, and it's kind of cool when, we turn on, I'm watching a lot of hockey at night too, and then I'll turn on the PWHL games on YouTube. And so my 4-year-old actually now when hockey's on, she goes, "Mommy, is this boys or girls hockey?" And so I that stopped me in the tracks the other night, and I was just like, wow, like I didn't see my first hockey game on TV until the Olympics in 1998. And I was 14 at the time. And for my 4-year-old to ask, like, is it boys or girls? Just like a normal question.
Yeah.
And I was just like, how cool is that? And for them too, just to think that, like we're so blessed at Wisconsin that, most of our games sell out and there's this huge crowd. And then we're in Minnesota, and that's just like, oh yeah, like that's normal. Like,
Of course, everybody's gonna come, right?
yeah, why wouldn't they? Like,
Right.
and you're like, well, when I played, we used to joke that, fans dressed as seats, and we're like,
Yeah.
there's seats again, and so it's just like, it's great. Like, how cool is that? It's just so cool.
Yeah, it is cool. My kids, having a boy who's 8 and a girl who's 5, I think definitely my 5-year-old is like thinks it's normal that it's on TV. But we really pride ourselves in the fact that, Nicole played basketball, I played hockey, but our kids, I don't even know if Brady's he went to Amrick's game this year in Rochester, but other than that, he's only seen women's hockey. He's seen men's basketball a lot now with March Madness, and he went to some Syracuse games last year, but they've seen more women's sports than anything, and definitely think it's normal that it's on TV because I'm putting it on all the time, right? So
right, yeah,
very cool.
Same with my daughter. The amount of times like she's come into the room and she'll look at the TV and she'll go, "Ugh, Bruins," like that, and I'm like, "What do you mean?" And she's like, "Oh, because." She goes to the Husky games so much in the PWHL, and the fact that she knows some of the players, I think, is another huge impact and part of it. And she's like, she'll look at the Bruins, she's like, "I don't know them," or she watches the Fleet, and she's like, "That's Alina," and she gets all, then it's a whole different deal. So I think that's part of it too.
Yeah, like I had Brady down on the bench at the Beanpot at BC, like sitting on the bench with Dave with the Beanpot. Like I was like, hey, hanging over the glass, taking a picture, but one of the coaches saw him and took him there after the game. I wasn't even down there. But yeah, it's such a nice thing to be able to do for your kids, and
totally,
that's really awesome. And I mean, I just want to point out how amazing you are that you're a mom of a 4 and a 6-year-old. And we were talking about this earlier in our discussion, just personally. I mean, I left coaching before we had our kids, and I really couldn't imagine a life of juggling both. So for me, that's breaking the glass right there. Honestly, like just being able to do that, obviously have a supportive spouse, but it is not the norm as much. It's more the norm now, but I just really had a hard time envisioning how I would do that. Mainly financially, I think. Living in Boston too, was a huge factor. But you're just so impressive that way.
It is. It's equally. That's the yin yang of it, right? The balance and making sure that you have time for everyone that needs it in your life. And as a coach, there's a lot of people that are pulling at you, I'm sure.
Yeah, for sure. I think that's too, when you win these, big championships, that to have your family there, it makes it, I don't want to say even more special, and just taking it in, because obviously they sacrifice a lot with me gone on the road with games. So for them to have the opportunity to come, for one, to the Frozen Four, and they were at the WCHA championship too, and then experience that. So it's rewarding, super rewarding for that.
No, that's awesome. Well, speaking of kids, let's go back to the beginning with you. A Sasky girl, right? From Regina?
Oh, yeah.
That's how I said beginning. Who got you involved in hockey at the beginning?
Oh, my dad, definitely. I think, grew up in the 90s. And so there's a game, and actually it's still going on in Canada. It's called ringette. And so if you're not familiar with it, it's like a cutoff hockey stick with a ring and, skating, and it's not as physical as hockey. And I kept getting penalties. And if you get 5 penalties, you're kicked out. And so that kept happening because I'm big and physical. And so finally my dad was like, hey, you know what, maybe we should try hockey. And so flipped over and then it just stuck. So that's kind of my road to it.
What was it called? Ringette?
Ringette, yep.
I gotta look that up. That sounds
You haven't heard of that?
No, I've never heard
Oh
of that.
man, Brody, we are educating you on this show.
Yeah. Hey, and
really
my family's from Regina, so that's fun. Even
Oh, no way.
Yeah, my grandfather was born and raised there. Yeah.
All right.
So ringette hockey, was there other sports that you played growing up? Were you one of those kids that did everything?
Yep, definitely that era. Yep.
Yeah.
Volleyball, softball, volleyball in the fall, softball summer. Yep.
This is the biggest question for Saskatchewan person. Are you did you grow up a Winnipeg or a Montreal fan?
For hockey?
Yeah.
No, Oilers all the way.
Oh, Oilers. So you all right? So a little further. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. Was there a player that you kind of took to shine to from the Oilers back then? Or
Ryan Smith.
Okay. Yeah. That's awesome.
That's dating me right there.
No. That's awesome. And then for you as a player at Wisconsin, moving on to Wisconsin, were there other schools that you were looking at, or was that you knew that was it? Or
no, I mean, oh gosh, this is really dating. So my freshman year was the third year the WCHA was in existence. So I mean, everything was new and just I remember committing to Wisconsin in grade 12 and committing and then going to, I think, the Canadian Championships in February and then having schools recruit me after that because they weren't in Western Canada watching because some couldn't afford to get out there. And so it was the beginning of, the recruiting and all over everywhere basically. And so I had some other options and went and visited and my is huge Saskatchewan Roughrider fans. So I grew up going to football games and I was fortunate to go to a Badger football game. So that's like, Saskatchewan Roughriders on steroids. So it was just like my eyes were open and I knew some players. There was another player from Saskatchewan that was already on the team. And
who was that?
Kendra Antony. That's
okay.
Yeah, she was on the first team and then Megan Hunter was there. And so I'd heard of her and thought, okay, like, this team's going to be good. And it just
another breaking the glasser that we need to get on here. Oh my goodness.
Yes.
Megan Hunter. Yeah.
Definitely get her on. Yeah. So, it like with anyone, it just felt right and it fell into place. Yep.
What's the song? I'm blanking. What's the football song they play with a whole stadium? Is it Jump Around?
Yeah.
I remember that. It's funny. You're at and I'm not. Listen, if we're dating you, we're definitely dating ourselves.
It's all good.
Oh yeah.
You're at that edge of none of your like junior high school. None of that stuff's available in terms of numbers. And like 5 years after you is when all that stuff becomes available. It's crazy. There's like a demarcation line.
Yeah.
And I will say though, but you were one of the players that you're actually on Hockey DB, which not a lot of the
I didn't even know that.
Yeah. Not a lot of the like a year or two before you are not.
Okay.
So yeah, you're in that weird little when they were like, oh, hey, women are pretty good. You're that level.
Yeah, it's so interesting to look back. I was looking on the Wisco site too. I mean, like I said, Bernie does all our homework for us, thank God. But I was looking on the site and seeing that it was mainly just like not a roster, just a team photo.
Yeah,
is on there. I was having good time looking at those photos in those years and the people that I was like, oh, and then in came Duggan and then in came. But what I noticed in the period of, what was it? 99 was the first year of the team. And then when you came in and then from there on, because I know you did a grad assistant year.
Yeah.
But every year there were captains in the front row. And then they were in a coaching suit the next year. There was one photo. Carla Carla McLeod was in a
Yep.
coaching suit, so it must have been her year going out because she's what, a year ahead of you or 2 years?
She's my year, but then my extra year or whatever, she was at the Olympics. So then after the Olympics, she came back to finish her degree, and then she helped out. And Molly Ingstrom came back to finish her degree, and she helped out. So they just kind of
Yeah, so
kept
there
the
were
players
like
involved.
12
Yeah.
people in sweatsuits in
Yeah.
the photo, like 12
Yeah.
red sweatsuits. I
Yeah.
was like, what is going on here?
Mhm.
And you guys have been breaking the rules with staff for a long time. No, just joking. I was
Careful.
like,
The
well, what a
NCAA doesn't
legacy,
joke
right?
around like that.
Well, what a legacy. I mean, speaking from experience, to be able to coach where you played,
Mhm.
it just shows you when you look and you see that those players want to stick around
Yeah.
and be a part of the program, whether it's people having trouble letting go or it's all, but just to be part, just continue to be part of the program. And at some point we're going to come on this, Brownie, and we're going to talk about all the coaches, like who coached where they played, and
Mhm.
just having role models, right? Like, I
Mhm.
mean, to be where you are today, you had to have coach role models. So
Mhm.
talk about that a little bit. Who are your role models in coaching? Obviously Mark, but
Gosh, I don't know if I've thought about that. From I guess, oh gosh, I not a hockey coach, but I've always admired Pat Summitt. I mean, I'd like, I don't think my style is her style, but I've read some of her books, and crazy enough, I was actually at her last ever basketball game that she coached at in Iowa. It was I think an Elite Eight game, and they ended up losing, but I was able to go to that game. So that was kind of a cool moment for me. So just always admired her, just obviously she broke the glass in women's basketball coaching, and just a wealth of wisdom. If you've ever read her books, it's fascinating. So just as a female coach from that standpoint.
So when you talk about coaches, made me think, because you had 1 year. I'm going to get her name wrong. Trina Bourget, is that how you say it?
Mhm.
Oh,
Yeah.
nice. You had 1 year under her, and then Mark Johnson came, who you've been with since. As a Canadian kid, did you understand who he was?
No.
Yeah. Because I mean, he had 2 goals. I mean, he's like,
yeah,
a
He's the
big
man. No.
effing deal, man.
Yeah.
Because when that 1980, I was like 10, and I mean, it's crazy, to see him there, and I'm like, wait, that's that, to connect it, yeah. Oh, we should have had
Yeah.
a clip of him scoring that we could have put in right there.
yeah.
Yeah, and we I mean, we didn't have any idea. I mean, we knew the history, and when he came in, he was obviously on the men's side, and
Mm.
he's just so humble that you just don't even know that anyways if you meet him on the street and whatnot. And he doesn't have that era of, I have this miracle medal. And so
Right.
we were just, I think as a program, we were just excited to have somebody, some stability, I guess. And obviously he's been here since. And so that we were just grasping for that at that time. And it was just such a great change, and really exciting to have him there.
I also wanted to ask, because I always ask this, because I'm always fascinated with the numbers. You were 17 your first 2 years, and then 7 your final. Is there significance? Is there significance to the?
You dig deep. Wow.
does.
Okay.
Well, because the
Holy
number
smokes.
thing, I'm like superstitious, and the numbers, and my number, I always still wear or have, and I'm just curious always to it.
I mean, I just wanted 7. Somebody left, and I was like, great, I get
Yeah.
my number. So there was nothing really.
Yeah, Kelly Kegley, right? She was 7 before when you got.
Yeah, fun. She was at the Frozen Four. We just saw her.
Oh,
She
yeah?
came with her kids.
Oh,
Yeah,
that's
it's so
awesome.
cool. Yeah,
That's
really cool.
No, I'm just always curious about the numbers.
Players don't change numbers like they used
Someone
to,
jumps
though.
on it. What's that, Linda?
Players don't change numbers like they used to. I did the same thing. I was 8 my freshman year. I had to wait
Okay.
for 12. There was a senior.
Yeah.
So, but 12 was my number. And so the minute it was available, I was like, yep, I want
Yeah.
that. But
Yeah.
one year at Northeastern, we did like the locker plaques, like who wore the number.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
over time.
Yeah. So I thought it would be cool if we put a plaque in the locker, whoever's number 12, all the people that wore the number. But we had to decide, because people changed their number so much that
Oh,
I was like,
Yeah.
am I 8 or am I 12? We're like, what was the last year, the number they wore in their last year?
That's a good point.
Because it was all over the place.
Mhm.
It's hard to make the plaques because people had changed their number so much.
That's one of those ideas that sounds good on paper until you go to implement. You're like,
exactly.
oh, man.
Exactly. That's exactly how it went. It was a good effort.
I don't want to go into all your numbers and everything, but this one part stood out to me. I don't even know if you're aware of this, but over your career at Wisconsin as a player, in 136 games played, you have exactly 136 PIMs. So for your career, you averaged 1 penalty minute per game, much like Sidney Crosby, who just, point per game, your penalty minute per game. That's a pretty cool little stat.
I don't know. I guess I was physical. I might, my dad is a big fan. Obviously, he's seen the evolution here of women's hockey, and he'll say to me, if you played now, I mean, I'm not nearly as good as these players, but he's like, I don't think you would have been in the penalty box as much, and it's so much more physical. I mean, it was physical then, but it's just evolved as a little more physical game. So
you can make the argument that it's the refs who've evolved to not as many whistles.
Yeah. So
have you seen that in the last 2-3 years in the Midwest, how the physicality and the refs handle it? Because I always ask, because I deal mostly with Hockey East until now. Now we're kind of expanding, which is awesome. In Hockey East, I know that they've had some growing pains in terms of the officiating. Have you seen the same in the Midwest, or are they quicker to embrace it?
I think they are. I mean, I don't have any major complaints. I don't think. I mean, I feel like it's always been a pretty physical league. I think maybe this year I've noticed they're calling more of the kind of like the NHL style, like the ticky-tacky, like, a hook, a hold, things like that, which is great. Like, that's fine. A trip. Sometimes, there's a hit and you're like, oh, that was a pretty clean hit. That could have been a penalty. So sometimes I think players maybe don't know what they can get away with and what they can't. They'll do a clean hit, penalty, next shift the other team does it and it's no penalty. So like, what do we do? And I'm like, I have no idea. I don't know what to tell you. So, but it's growing pains everywhere. Yeah.
Is that a topic that you guys will talk about, or can probably have continued to talk about, like down in Naples, how to evolve the game? I mean, think about the PWHL, right? Allowing, good, clean contact. I think WCHA plays a brand of hockey that is closer to that anyway, like you said, but how do you, coach that? And then how do you evolve that in the coaches' discussions, like when you're talking about rules and everything?
Yeah. I mean, I don't like, I'm personally totally fine where it is. Like, I don't think we need to evolve to the PWHL where it's at. I mean, that's definitely more physical than what we play. Sometimes I think it's more like the little things, like what's an elbow, what's a contact to the head. I mean, I think a big topic right now, and you probably have somebody else soon talk about it, like face-offs, that's kind of evolved, like, crowding the circle. I think that's kind of been more of a discussion for us, or at least maybe because I coach the forwards, I've been more aware of that. Just kind of different things like that. But yeah, I mean, it's always, you've been to Naples, any rule stuff and hitting is such a hot topic down there and gets heated with everybody. So it's always a fun one to attend. That's for sure.
We're probably going to have to do a Naples preview show or something. Maybe I have to go down there for it. I don't know.
Oh, what a sacrifice.
Twist my arm.
Good on you, Linda. Way to take one for the team there. Oh, honey, I have to go to Naples.
Yeah, exactly.
Your time at Wisconsin, you played with, this is like looking at some of the players, and I'm not going to go through all of them, but some of the players that you played with, it's like a who's who of women's hockey. It's like, it's deep. It's a very accomplished. You mentioned McLeod, and you got Sis Paulson, Kerry Whelan, Molly Engstrom, who you mentioned. Jackie McMillan, Sarah Bauer, she was only a Patty Cass winner. You know what I mean? It's crazy the amount of people. Was there something, could you tell, could you feel like it was a special group, or is that something you look back at after the fact?
Yeah, I mean, definitely look back after the fact. I think the one cool thing that when we came in, it seemed like every year our team got better. And every year, just, with the evolution of women's hockey, like the players started to get better. And so it was almost like the coaches were out recruiting the class ahead. And so every year, the freshman class, you're like, man, these guys are good.
Yeah.
And so the next year, like, man, these guys are good. And it showed as a team. So I think freshman to junior year, we were ranked, I think, 5th in the nation. And then that was the time when there was only 4 teams that went to the Frozen Four. And then my senior year, they expanded it to 8 teams. And we were, I think, I don't know what we were, 5th or 4th. We lost in the first round, but we made it. So it's kind of a proud accomplishment that we were the first team ever to make the NCAA tournament. And then I remember we lost. We were in Dartmouth my senior year, and looking around the room and sitting with Carla McLeod, one of my best friends, and being like, they're going to win this next year. And just like the talent and just, the growth. And then sure enough, it's like, yep, they won it in 06. Like, it was just like, you just knew. And so it was, with the talent that was there, Sarah Bauer, you had Janelle Zog, and then Jessie Vetter played the following year. And she redshirted my senior year, and she, by the end of the year, like, oh, this girl is good. And she just went up like that.
And you had the pick of the West, but it really, when Lawler came and then Duggan came, and it was like, oh, there are East kids going West. Like that was a big thing back in that time. Like, East kids didn't go West, and it was really hard to get a West kid, like a Minnesota kid. The Minnesota kids started coming East earlier than that. That was a big deal. I remember just being in Boston and in hockey, that those players were like, I'm going to go to Wisconsin. And everyone was like, what are you doing?
Right. Yeah. Yep. Oh yeah. Huge.
Taste the success. I do want to Vetter that you mentioned. She has an award named after her in the Wisconsin Prep League, which is, all her accomplishments, that one just stood out. That's pretty cool to have an award named after you while you're alive. Yeah, it's pretty neat. And don't say they won. You were the grad student coach, right? When
I was an undergrad, finishing my undergrad, so I guess we won. I was helping out too.
You're part of that for sure.
Definitely.
I did, just real quick, I want to ask you about your U22 with Canada, because you played with Cass Turner, who I've had the fortune to interview, who's super nice. She's awesome. Anything you remember about that Canadian that go with that? I know it was a short tournament.
Yeah, I had a couple years with that team, and so obviously every year was different, but you look, now that I look back and it's like, who did you play with? And it was like, oh yeah, Cass Turner, and I always looked up to her. She was a couple years older than me, and obviously great coach at Quinnipiac now, and I would say a mentor too. She's been fantastic to me, and Sherry Piper, I played a little bit with her. Apps at one point, I think. I'm just trying to, like, the list, like some of the old girls, the list goes on, but it was, at the time, such a cool experience, like unreal, really.
Yeah. I always love hearing about the stories, because it's like instant bonding. You're together, you're done, and just like in, out, but you make those connections in quick tournaments like that. I just think it's neat. And then Europe, overseas, couple 3 years, the Swiss Women A-League. Did you notice a difference with from NCAA at that time? Was the game like faster, less physical?
Yeah, all the above. So, NCAA would have been a better game than it was over in Europe at the time. Definitely.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah, for sure. So it was, Linda can probably attest to this. They were trying to get some North American players over there to kind of boost the level of play. And so they would have, 1 or 2 North American players on each team.
No.
We certainly didn't make any money. It was more to prolong life and play the game that you love and travel a little bit and kind of have that experience, which was great.
Well, you had some success. You had the 2 Czech leagues and the 2 elite championships over there. And that first year, you led the team in goals, points, PIMS, and plus minus. So,
I didn't know that. There you go.
Oh, you didn't? Oh,
I told you he was a stats guy.
I don't remember any of this.
Tell your dad if you're listening.
Okay.
He can just email you the notes, the stat sheet, and you can send it to your dad, and
I'll email you the whole document.
Feel good, relive it all. You got some rings too, so you know.
Hey,
My
you
question
did
is,
it.
as you keep getting rings, and we were talking about this because I have my one ring behind me, and I wasn't even an active coach, but thank you, Northeastern. Is how do they develop and design new rings? What becomes new about it every time you win?
Well, so I don't know what other programs do, but we let the seniors design it.
Oh,
And
that's
so,
cool.
Oh,
yeah,
nice.
ultimately, I think Mark will have the final say, like, oof, nope, or, like, yeah, that's a good one. So we'll get them in a room with whatever ring company they use. I'm not sure. And then they'll, what do they want? A Bucky? Do they want a W? Do they want the old school W? Certainly they're a lot more creative than I would be. And so it's kind of a fun thank you that, they can do that and we appreciate it.
Speaking of Bucky, this is later. I was going to bring it up later, but you mentioned them or them. I'm not sure. There's a Bucky bobblehead. Did you see this? That's coming out. You can order now. It'll be ready in September to celebrate the women's national championship.
I
Yeah.
got the email.
Oh, did you get that email? That's
I
pretty
did.
cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
I saw a blurb on the news where they had it. It was pretty neat. I want to say the company. Oh, well, I'm not going to find it. Oh, the National Bobblehead Hall of Fame in Milwaukee. They
There you
announced
go.
that they're doing it. I didn't want them to someone be listening.
Shout
Like,
out.
you could have said the name.
Shout out to
And if
them.
you're listening, I'll take one. I can put it up here somewhere.
Exactly. That's what we were saying last episode. I was like, if anybody wants to send me their
God.
gear, I'll wear it. Like,
Yeah, but what she
we're
said
trying
was
to spread the love, be well-rounded, have some parity in the podcast. Not everybody thinks we're going to be Husky heavy. I mean, in our hearts we are, but I was like,
what she
send me
said
your gear,
was
I'll
she
wear it.
said, send
Okay.
me anything, I'll wear it. And I'm like, well, you might want to back off on
I was
that
like,
just
that
a
was
little
a
bit.
bold statement.
So then you moved into coaching full-time officially. What was I coached at, not college level. I coached at the varsity high school level, but it's still an adjustment. You're not the player, you're the coach, and
Mhm.
it's a whole different dynamic now with the players. What was that adjustment like for you? And at what point did you realize that coaching was going to be your thing? Was that while you were doing the grad? Was that when you were over in Europe?
Yeah, I mean, I always thought, I took like teaching, I was going to be a phys ed teacher. That was kind of my background and I always thought I would coach. But and kind of at the time there weren't a lot of spots open and I just thought, "Oh, okay, I'll head back to Saskatchewan or wherever and, teach and coach high school hockey or club hockey, whatever." And so the opportunity came. Coach Mark was at the Olympics in Vancouver and they needed somebody, just temporarily. And I got a call from Tracy DeKaiser and, hey, like, are you, you worked with us, like, obviously, good dynamic there. And so would you be interested in trying this for 7 or 8 month contract I was on? It was like, yeah, sure. Like, I'm done playing overseas. This sounds great.
That
Give it
was
a
the
whirl.
short-term thing.
Short term.
Yep.
That was my first year, short
Yep.
term. And so give it a go. And she's like, maybe you'll like this, maybe you'll so yeah, liked it. That year was a hard year, but learned a ton, obviously. And then ended up getting it. Dan had left the year before and getting it full time. And just like, yeah, this is it. This is what I want to do. And it's just, yeah, it's evolved. Like, it's just really interesting. Like I remember bits and pieces my first couple years coaching. I think I was so young. You're just kind of learning on the fly. And then, like Linda, it seems so long ago, like just to
It
be a
does.
young 20 some coach. And now I feel like, at the time, maybe I was more like the whatever cool, like can kind of relate. Now I'm like, oh, I'm the old mom, like
Yeah.
I am not cool. Like it's just changed, maybe more of the old wise, it's like, oh, Jackie's going into mom mode here. And I'm like, yes, I am. You be careful, so things have changed. But yeah, it was, I just love hockey. And so just to be around it and, like, said to Linda too, like my 12-year-old self to think like, when you're like, what do you want to be when you grow up? When I was 10 to in high school, it wasn't like, I'm going to be a coach. And so you ask my players, what do they want to be? Well, some of them want to be coaches someday. And you're like,
Right.
oh, you actually can do that.
Yeah.
Like, how cool.
Yeah.
That is the coolest thing. And you just said something that made me think like, looking back, and we talked a little bit about like evolution of life and having kids and being a mom and being a coach. must be pretty cool because you have different perspective, right?
Mhm.
Like you're able to give the players a different perspective on, is it that big of a deal that we lost, life perspective, and
Mhm.
teach them about patience when you're teaching yourself about patience and you're reparenting yourself at home. Then you can go to work and say, there's going to be more in life than this, and you got to get ready for it.
Right. Yeah,
um
totally.
that's awesome, and I agree. For whatever reason, the early recruiting days, I mean, they could get a little crazy with
Mhm. Mhm.
socializing. But it was a sisterhood too. I mean, I
Yeah.
can't even remember how we got linked up and became friends other than just being on the road all the time and seeing each other and then just chatting. Want
Mhm.
to go get a bite to eat? What else are we going to do? We're here for
Right.
3 days watching 14 hours of hockey a day.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. You're in I remember recruiting with you in like Prince George, BC, middle of nowhere. And I think
Yeah.
they didn't want us to bring in coffees and we were trying to smuggle in Tim Hortons in our
We
purses to get
were.
in.
That's why that's
I
what I
know.
remember the most is the Tim Hortons.
Yeah. We're like, no, we need our coffee.
Yeah.
And also not only the recruiting but you've also over your time seen the implementation of video. You've seen,
Mm.
I
Mhm.
Mhm.
mean, the portal we can talk about. I mean, it's just I think the growth in the women's game has been so accelerated because it hasn't been around as long. So
Yeah.
it's more thrown at you in a shorter amount of time. So the learning curve is huge.
Huge. Or you look back to like just how you recruited. I mean, the rules change every year and the rules
Right.
have changed. Like it was, when we start like well, when I started early days, it was like you can't talk to them until they're seniors. And so it was July 1st was the call date. Then it was July 7th. And so you had no contact until then. So you're really only watching, juniors and seniors. And then it switched to, well, you can get around it by calling their coach to set up a call. And then you're recruiting ninth graders, which is insane. And then it switched back a couple years ago to now, okay, now we can't call them until they're going into their junior year. So now it's a little bit older, but even the communication styles, like I remember first couple years of coaching, emailing kids nonstop till the wee hours in the morning and just
Mhm.
emailing out. And now, I mean, I don't email anybody, it's just, kids will email me, but you're texting,
Oh, yeah.
it's like, how's my
Yeah.
texting game,
Yeah.
So
That
it
July
just
1st, you just like, I don't know, ripped off a Band-Aid there with that one. Like, I mean, and then if you tried to call the mainly Western Canadians, it was harvest, and they were like, it's harvest on the farm.
Mhm,
They're not available to talk on the
mhm.
phone until I don't know when that's over. I can't remember, but I just remember that being a thing
Yeah,
where they were like, yeah, it's harvest. They're working 12 hours a day
mhm,
on the farm. Like,
yeah.
there's no way. So, that's dating us a
Yeah,
little
it
bit.
is, yeah, but
Well, when trying to do get sponsorships for the podcast, it's the same kind of thing. Like it used to be, you send an email, like who would be in charge of this, and now it's like you send an Instagram message, like, "Hey, want to collab?" And it's like some 20-year-old kid, like, "Yeah, hit me up." And it's like I'm like
yeah,
asking the kid who works for me, who's in his 20s, I'm asking him like, "What's this mean?" If it's like these initials, he's like, "That's how I know to hit me up, HMU." That's the only reason I know it because I asked him because it'll say HMU, and I'm like, Her Majesty's under, I'm like, I don't know what this means. Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah. It's something. Um, well, in your time as coaching, I mean, you want to talk about the players you played with, the players you've coached. This is like if you're a 14-year-old player, you know every one of these names. It's
Mhm.
crazy. And I
mhm.
also looked it up. Wisconsin, Ohio State. I mean, no shock that you guys are in the national championship. The most former players in the PWHL, you guys both have the most at 15,
Oh,
which is
okay,
it's crazy because
that's
you're like,
crazy.
yeah, I mean, I'm not going to go through all names, but I did want to ask, do you root for a PWHL team? Do you have one team you root for, or do you just root for players?
I root for players too,
Yeah,
and it was funny,
You might be a little partial to Ottawa
well,
for
yes,
your
yeah,
Carla.
friendships.
Carla's my
yeah,
best friend. So, it was funny because Ottawa's playing, what was it, Minnesota the other night or
yeah.
back in the day, and so I had it on, and Riley, my 6-year-old, I was like, oh, like Auntie Carla's playing and they're the white team. She's like, oh yeah, let's go Auntie Carla. I'm like, oh, but Britta Curl's on the Frost and she loved Britta Curl. And so she's like, oh, what do we do? And I was like, I don't know.
These
Who do
are
we cheer for?
awesome problems for these kids, right?
Yeah.
Problems to have. Yeah.
That's
for
what we
sure.
were saying. I mean, with Schuler, obviously my classmate and one of my best friends, I said, you know, we took our kids to Cornell. So we were like, we got to see Auntie Shu. We got to see Auntie Shu. And Brady kept saying, is it going to be 2.5 hours before we see her? Do we have to watch this whole game? And that game was nuts, right? At Cornell with
such
Duluth.
a good game. Yeah.
And it was packed. And
Yeah.
we were behind. I was telling this in the podcast already. We were behind the student section and all the football players had their shirts off. And my son was like, Brady was like, what are they doing? They had their shirts off. I'm like, and they had letters of players on and all that stuff. But it was, I was like, okay, now we got to wait after the game. We got to see Auntie Shu. And, and I'm like, you're so privileged. Brady went right to, she came out of the locker room. Like there's stuff going on. There's media they lost.
Yeah.
I was like, maybe we don't go down
Right.
there. And Brady went right in. And she's like, oh, hey, Brady. We haven't seen her in, I think, 2 years. So yeah, but our kids are really lucky, huh?
Mm-hmm.
To just name drop people.
Right. Yeah.
And it's a cool thing.
So cool.
Well, let's talk about the games. The last 2 games, anyways. A couple of things stood out to me in the final, and I don't know how much you want to go into this in terms of your scouting and everything. But late in the first and then into the second, it seemed like you guys, excuse me, were able to generate a lot of breakouts and odd man rushes with long cross ices. Was there an adjustment that you guys saw, or was it you just wore them down because they have only the 3 lines of forwards? Was there something to that?
I don't know if it's any one thing. I mean, you guys watch them. It's their style of play. I mean, they pinch their D a lot. All the time. And so it's just a matter of, can you get the puck by the pinching D on the breakout, and can you create an odd man rush? And so we were trying to do that, and sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. So how good are your wingers at doing that and creating that? And it's when we play them, or even Minnesota, it's a back and forth game, and they're gonna have a chance against us because they're rushing up 4, and then if it doesn't go in, the puck's gonna be close to the blue line, and then we're gonna counterattack, and then it's probably a 3-on-2 or a 2-on-1 because they have everybody down in the net, and it's just, that's our style of play. And so sometimes we're good at it, sometimes we're not.
Yeah, you wearing heart rate monitor on the bench there, or what?
Oh, I should have. Yeah.
How tired? I was gonna say, how tired of you of Ohio State and Minnesota, but I mean, you could say it more specifically. How tired of you of McKenna Webster or Abby Murphy? I mean, are you like, enough with these players already?
No. I mean, I coached McKenna for a year.
No, I
She's
know.
She's a great kid, and I mean, had success, and really cool to actually see her have really good success at field hockey. That's really remarkable to do 2 sports. So, but I mean, she is just a gritty, hard nosed, so fast. Like, I remember watching her in the Cornell game and being like, oh, she's their best player. Like, she works so hard. And I mean, obviously Abby Murphy, anytime she has the puck on your stick and she's, facing your goalie, you're like, oh, that kid could score. I mean, she's just completely talented.
Did you want to ask Linda, or do you want me to, about Murphy?
Well, I wasn't going to name any names.
Oh, why not at this point?
You did. Obviously, there's some physical contact in the games that was back and forth, we'll call it. And how did your team, first of all, manage that situation emotionally? Obviously, Harvey gets hit, then kind of got to reciprocate it a little bit. It's not an uncommon thing to see in a contact sport, that it would go both ways at some point. But what was just fascinating to us, and maybe just talk a little bit about that scenario, and these guys having to go be teammates in a week or 2. When is that starting? Next week?
Yeah, they think they leave on the 1st.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, uh, unfortunate. I mean, I think the end of the day, I think my heart sunk, if I'm being honest. And I thought, oh, is she done for the game? Is,
Yeah.
KK done for the tournament? And,
And we're glad she's okay. And that,
Yeah.
yeah,
100%.
yeah,
Yeah. In the end of the day, she's fine. I personally don't know how. But at the end of the day, like you're just concerned about her safety and I didn't see it live. The play obviously had passed and I was watching the puck and so saw it after and again, super unfortunate. I think I think the big thing was trying to keep the team calm and being like, try not to retaliate, obviously, because then we're in the box for 5 minutes. And you could say maybe that sparked our team a little bit, that unfortunate incident or hit. But yeah, it was interesting. Yep.
yeah.
Yeah.
I'm surprised, and I understand the point. Excuse me, the moment and the pressure the rest were under, but I was surprised she didn't get the gate for the game. To be honest with you, and don't you say anything. I don't want you to get in trouble. NCAA is always listening. I feel. Yeah, it was something. I that's one of the biggest. We talked about it. That would have been a 5 in the NHL. I mean, that was savage. Is what it really was.
Yeah, and I think we talked a little bit about it before, Jackie and I were when we were offline and again, at the end of the day, it's just glad that everybody's okay
For sure.
in the scenario. And it's a fascinating concept to think of these players going and being teammates after what seemed to be, a bit of dissension.
Word.
But yeah, I guess that's, and the better players get, the more that's likely, right? Like we saw that way back in the day. I've seen that happen where, I remember a specific incident, I won't name names, but where two players who played together on our team at Northeastern were at the World Championships and one cussed the other one out, like said something pretty rude or mean, and then looked up and said, "Oh, sorry." Like, it's you. Like,
Yeah.
so if you have good players, they're always going to be. It's interesting when like the Canadians and the Americans play on college teams together and then have to go play against each other. That's that same dynamic. But to be teammates and have stuff like that happen is, I don't know, to be a fly on the wall in that locker room.
Well, talk about the U.S. and the Canadians. One of your most famous alums, Hillary Knight, she
On fire.
She plays like a dickhead. I mean, sorry, in the U.S. Canada stuff, she's unbelievable. And these are her teammates in the PWHL. It's crazy how much anger she develops in those tournaments. It's fantastic. Yeah, I'm probably
Was that supposed to be a compliment?
That was meant to be a compliment.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, 100%. I meant that complimentary.
Yeah, I wanted to make sure that was clear. Sometimes,
I love the way Hillary Knight plays in those tournaments. She's unbelievable.
Yeah, I knew that's what you meant.
There was one they lost, and she skated through, like she could have just got around everybody, and she skated directly through the Canadians celebrating after the game. And I was just like, oh my God, she's unbelievable. Yeah, I love that about her. Well, I wanted to ask too with McKenna Webster, how you alluded to her being at Wisconsin for 2 years. But is there someone that with the portal or someone recruiting maybe in years past that you lost out to that you still like, the one that got away?
Nothing comes to mind.
Yeah, 6 championships. Kind of.
Yeah, no kidding. Dust it off. Oh well.
I was just curious on that one. And then back to the final. 2 things I wanted to ask. Is it true that Layla Edwards was the one that was like challenged this?
Yeah, it is true. It was her and it's all honestly kind of a blur. It happened so fast, but I do vividly remember her saying they covered the puck, and then we obviously believed her, but and then radioed up to our video guy as well. We're not like believe her, but like, hey, we have the opportunity, and so it was like, yeah, she covered the puck.
Yeah,
and so then obviously you use the challenge, and it's like, what do you have to lose? Like, it's your one time out. You're like taking time anyways, and so yeah, it was just I mean, you watched it. It was probably the wildest game I've ever been a part of in my life, and I'll never probably be a part of a game like that again.
You just gave me chills. I just got
Yeah.
chills when you were talking about it.
Yeah.
There was a video circulating. Someone had a camera on the video coach. When
Justin, that's our guy. Yeah, the redhead.
great video because he was so stoked. Yeah, that was awesome.
Yeah, that was his girlfriend who had the whereabout to video it, and
they put it on socials or something.
Yeah, I'll have to send it to you. He was just, I mean, he's all in. It was really cool.
Well, that was the cool thing. I mean, oh man, it was such a good game for hockey. I think that the pick me or I'll do it, who wants
that
it,
was my next
that's
thing.
gonna go far.
Yeah.
Like that's another example of like leadership, confidence, belief in yourself and your teammates. Like Lily's quote, we wanted that to open our thing but that's gonna be like similar.
Yeah.
I'll take it. I'll do it.
Who wants it? Yeah. I mean,
yeah, who wants it? Like that whole scenario there is like just very cool for women's hockey.
Oh yeah, and then too, I think what people don't see too is, there's a couple things with that. Like one, Coach Mark has been around forever, and so we were after the game. Well, a couple days after, we're talking about it, and like remember the time in 2013 when we had a penalty shot, and it was this player X's Sally's penalty shot, and we're like, where's Sally? And then she's hiding at the end of the bench, and it's like, you don't want to give it to the kid that maybe you think is going to score, but if they're hiding and they don't feel confident to do it, then it's like, well, that's, not good. And I remember talking with coach and like, okay, it's the end of the game. The ice is bad. Do you pick somebody who their shootout move is usually a shot? Or do you go with, like a Sims or a few other, players that, they have these solid moves and, are they ready for it? So when he says like, who wants it, before that, people are like, Sims, you got this. And so it was cool. Yeah, it was cool that what you don't see on camera is all the players being like, you got this. And everyone's saying, so when she was like, yeah, people are saying my name, like, yeah, I'll take it. But to have the just the confidence to take it and then feel the confidence of your teammates. And I don't think it's on camera, but I remember seeing Casey taking her aside, O'Brien, and just pumping her up. And I don't know what her speech was, but it worked, and like it's the Sims's move is usually she goes backhand. So for her to go backhand and then went to her forehand, I was like, whoa, I didn't see that coming. What a read,
right? Like that's cool.
Here, I can read. Actually, we have it. I can play it right now.
Oh.
Here is Sims moving in on Teely to try to tie the championship game. Oh, what a move! She does!
That's just unfair.
Yeah.
She was so close to the goalie that at one point when it happened, I thought she actually took the shot. Like like the fact that she cut back and that the goalie didn't get any piece of it and it was so tight there. Yeah. It's fantastic.
Our Kelly, our other host, is a goalie, and we asked her because we talked about, in the last episode, we were like, what do you think? She's like, I think that's like the Michigan. She's like, I don't care for that at all. But from a goalie's perspective, that's just unfair,
Yeah.
Yeah, I have no affiliation with Wisconsin. I've never even been to Wisconsin as the state. And for her when she raised her hand and when coach asked that, you get goosebumps.
You're like, let's go. Like you become, a women's hockey fan. There isn't, in those games and in that moment. So great.
Yeah.
And then, I think the video part of it, I think when I don't know if I was thinking about texting you. I probably would have at some point in the week. But then there was they kept showing replays and they kept showing people celebrating. They showed fans and then they showed the bench. And it's like, just so cool. Like, then it just showed you jumping up and down and hugging Mark. And I was like, oh, Jackie, yay. But so just such a great moment for you guys. So proud of you guys.
That penalty shot went in, you knew you guys were winning. Like, there was still some angst. I get it. Ohio had some pressure, but like, it's the Hollywood ending, right? Is that she scores again in overtime.
Yeah, and so, I mean, in between, the 3rd and overtime, I mean, you're sitting there and you're like, "Okay, if I'm Ohio, how am I feeling right now?" Like, the wind has been knocked out of my sails. I mean, 18 seconds, my hand was on the trophy, like, I was
Right.
tasting it, and so, it was like, if we can come out in the first 5 minutes and finish this, we're gonna win this, and put pressure on them, and we kinda like, "Hey, in the first 5, like, we have to really go," and that's it came true, like, that's what happened because you can't let them get back into the game and
Right.
get some confidence because 'cause they're just, like, I'm sure sitting there, like, obviously trying to reset and get going, but it's one thing,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
to do it is tough. Yeah, really tough.
All right, Brownie. We want to do some lightning
Yeah.
questions for
Yeah.
Jackie.
Well, I did want to
Okay.
ask, how much time are you allowing yourself off? When is your first
Oh,
recruiting trip?
Oh, well,
who's leaving?
life of a coach, I leave Tuesday to head to, Boston for US Nationals, so there's
Oh,
not
right,
much
right.
time
Yeah.
off, yeah.
Take me with you to Boston. Take me with you, Boston.
Uh, that's great. And for those struggling programs, that's the recipe. You gave yourself what, 10 days before you're
N
out on the road?
No, not even. I mean, at least I get this weekend off, but, 8 days, like,
Yeah,
yeah,
8 days.
it just doesn't stop.
That's awesome. All right, so lightning round, top of the head. Favorite cartoon character?
Oh my goodness. Moana.
Okay. Oh, uh, is it Laban? Is that how you say it?
Mhm.
Yeah. See, that's like the most like I'm like, oh, am I saying it because of my accent? Is that Laban? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So taking Laban out of it, favorite and least favorite rinks that you've played or coached in.
Oh, Minnesota, it's always a battle. Definitely good fans and, so fun, so fun.
Okay.
So probably favorite and least favorite.
Oh, fair. That's good. Yeah. Do you have a celebrity crush?
Oh, am I allowed to say this is I don't know. Let's see if my husband will, I mean, Matthew McConaughey.
All right, all right. Um, what's a skill you don't possess that you'd love to master?
Oh, I wish I could sing.
All right, yeah. Music and instruments is quite a popular answer in
I
that.
thought you were
Mhm.
going to say play lacrosse.
Oh.
Your go-to pizza topping.
Oh, prosciutto and arugula.
Ooh, that's a good one. Guilty pleasure TV show or your most recent binge watch? And I know the season just ended, so it's probably tough, but
No, any documentary on Netflix, any sports, like I've seen them all, like F1 racing,
okay.
that series, what is it, Full Swing,
Swing's
any
awesome.
of, yeah,
Yeah.
all of it. I just eat it up, love it.
Would you rather be able to speak any language of the world or talk to animals?
Probably speak any language.
Okay, it would help with recruiting, probably.
Yeah.
In your hockey playing life, did you spend more time on the PK or the PP?
Ooh, I think it was more the PP at the end. Yeah.
Uh, start, bench, or cut? Pancake, pancakes, waffles, French toast.
Waffles.
So waffles to start, and then who would you bench? Who would you cut?
Uh, I'd bench the pancakes and cut the French toast.
Okay. Rather fight a horse-sized duck or 100 duck-sized horses?
I don't know.
We can skip it.
I think the big horse, hopefully I could outrun them. That would be
All
my
right.
thought process.
What's your favorite pastime not hockey related?
Oh, I really like I used to be involved in triathlon, so I really
Oh,
like road biking is just something I love to do, and running, and
You Ironmans, no big deal.
I back in the day did a couple Ironmans. So yeah,
yeah. Oh,
anything,
wow.
yeah, anything like that. But really road biking is just a love of mine.
Who would play you in a movie about your life?
Oh geez. I've never thought about this one. I have no idea.
Hard one.
McConaughey, maybe he's a pretty good actor. He could do it. Uh, if you could pick a superpower, what would it be?
Fly.
Yeah.
Cool.
And then just a couple more. Music festival, your own music festival. You could have any artist, living or dead. Give me your top 3.
Oh, Garth Brooks, Any country. I just love country music. So, I mean, I don't know, Lady A, Morgan Wallen, just, all the
Okay.
country stars. Yeah.
And then the last one, the most famous person in your phone that you could call. Not that we're not going to ask you to.
I mean, all my former players are pretty famous now, which I don't really think about, but they're all I mean, any Badgers are, I guess Duggan's kind of famous, Knight's kind of famous, I got a few of those guys.
So funny when you talk to people who
Yeah.
interact, it's just like, oh yeah, Hillary Knight.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's great. That's great.
Lucky. We're lucky.
Yeah, we're very lucky. Thank you so much for doing this.
I got a question.
Go.
Last
Oh,
question.
Sorry.
Okay, this is my new
Oh,
thing.
right. I forgot, Linda.
Right?
I'm sorry.
So, in the spirit of breaking the glass, as we talked about earlier on the phone today, can you give us like maybe 2 to 3 people, 3 names that you think we should have on the podcast?
Yeah, I thought Jess Scott from Minnesota, Megan Hunter, 100% VP. That's just unreal what she's done. Obviously know her. And then I think would be interesting. Megan Duggan is in player personnel with the Devils. And so I think her job is quite fascinating what she does with that. So yeah, a hockey coach, I think Jess Scott is great. And I mean, obviously there are rivals, but at the same time, like I would consider a friend too. So it's
Rising
cool.
tides raise all ships, right?
Yeah, it does. Yeah. I mean, another female as well. And I mean, you've had Cassie Turner, I believe, if not.
Well, that was
Not yet on here.
Not on here, but yeah.
Yeah, she would be a great wealth of knowledge. Just a great coach.
Okay. Awesome.
Cool.
Well, thank you so much for taking some
You
time
bet.
out of your schedule. This has been great. Thank you, Linda, for reaching out. And
It was an hour of kid free time, right?
Yeah.
That's what we were talking about earlier. I was like, let's do this. We could stay on forever. That's what it is. Thanks, Jackie, so much. You're the best.
Thank you for breaking the glass. Look for our regular episode. This is a bonus episode. Our regular episode will be out in the midweek. And go Badgers, right?
All right, go Badgers. Thank you.
Awesome.
Thank you, guys.
Take care.
All right, bye.